Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. I read a very brief but interesting press release. The head of the Institute of the German Economy said that critics of Angela Merkel's regime and critics of the hygiene rules that we have right now and people who don't want to get vaccinated against the China bug, these people should be excluded from health insurance coverage in case they catch that virus, even though they paid for their health insurance. The logic behind that is that if you act recklessly, then your insurance doesn't have to cover the damage. Now, I've never heard that this would be used in any other cases in terms of health insurance. Like, for example, if you're overweight, you would not get treatment for heart disease, or if you smoke or drink alcohol, you will not get cancer treatment or something like that, right? So this reminded me of something else though. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but there are sometimes these occasions when people in power, they think of alternative ways to mess with people's lives and to punish them when they think that the ordinary punishments for offenses or for not complying with the rules seem to not scare people enough. And when the elites get the feeling that the people are not scared enough, then they get creative with punishments that go far beyond what our normal laws and customs would see fit as an appropriate punishment. So let's stick to this current case of the China bug rules. Let's say the regulations say you cannot party with more than 5 people in your apartment. And in case you get caught when you have a party with more people than that, in your apartment, then there will be a fine of, let's say, 2,500 euros. And many people will start thinking now, well, the probability that I really get caught is rather low and it sucks to have to pay 2,500 euros, but it's not the end of the world. And this kind of considerations, this weighing of the pros and cons is exactly what our elites don't want. They want to scare us and intimidate us so much that the punishment seems so severe that even if we only see a slight chance of getting caught, we would not risk it. That is what they want. And as I said, this reminds me of some other examples. Sometimes you read articles, I linked them down below. A couple of years ago I read, for example, that in North Rhine-Westphalia the SPD was thinking about taking away people's driver's license as a punishment for many offenses, like not paying your taxes or not paying alimony, for example. And this is a clear example where the authorities think, how can we mess with people's lives so that it hurts? You must know that there are many areas in Germany where you really need the car, and for certain careers or certain jobs you need a driver's license in order to work. If you lose your driver's license, you can lose your job, or you cannot buy groceries anymore, or you actually have to move because there is no public transportation near your house, like there are no bus stops, there is no subway. Without a driver's license, you would actually have to move. And it is also funny that they say that they want to punish fathers who cannot pay alimony, or ex-husbands. They don't say parents or something like that, or ex-partners. No, it's only men that they want to target with that. And of course, once again, this is not the same thing, and it is maybe a very extreme example, but what do Oriental cultures do? They don't have fines for certain things, they just chop off parts of your body. They use amputation as a punishment. And of course, this is not the same thing, but think about what that does. It makes sure that you cannot move anymore, that you cannot defend yourself anymore, and that you cannot work anymore. You become a charity case by court order. And that is exactly what taking away someone's driver's license does, for example. You take away a man's ability to work, in certain cases, of course, only. If you live in a metropolitan area and you have a job that you can easily reach by bus and you don't need your driver's license for work, then you don't care. But if you live in a rural area and you are a sales representative or something, you have to visit clients and customers, then it's a different story altogether. So this US-friendly guy now said that health insurances should not cover critics of Angela Merkel or unvaccinated people any longer. Because criticizing these rules is dangerous and also not getting the vaccine is dangerous, he says. and a fine would not scare people enough, so he wants to threaten them with something a little more profound. Now, he didn't say that they shouldn't get treatment, but he said that they shouldn't be covered by insurance. And let's say if you are in an ICU for 2 or 3 weeks, that could bankrupt you, I think. And the next step would then, of course, be to say that they shouldn't be treated at all, but he didn't say that yet. So why do I keep bringing up that this guy is very US friendly? Well, I did a little bit of research. Well, it's just his Wikipedia article actually. And lo and behold, he is member of the Atlantikbrücke. Yes, this private club that I talked about earlier this year that was founded by a certain Mr. Warburg. And that is still pretty much under the control of the notorious Warburg family. On the surface level, it is a club that promotes friendship and understanding between the USA and Germany. But in reality, it is an organization that makes sure that US interests are enforced in Germany. And when I say US interests, that is only correct actually if you assume that US interests and the interests of the Warburg family is one and the same thing. Or US interests and the interests of the coastal elites in the United States. But we all know that these are not the same things, obviously. That is why I used quotation marks. Alright, so I just wanted to let you know that they are already seeing that many people have gigantic doubts about the safety of this vaccine, and they want to intimidate and threaten them before the vaccine is even available. They want to scare people with the prospect of needing medical care and not getting it, or bankrupting themselves in the process because their health insurance that they're all forced to pay into, we have public health insurance in Germany, and for most people this is not optional, only if you are over a certain income threshold, then you can opt for the private health insurance, or if you are an office of the state, I think. But most people are obliged to pay into the public healthcare system, and then it is very harsh to say that your health insurance would not pay in case you catch that virus and you need medical attention. So this is how they want to scare people before this vaccine is even available. They want to prepare them mentally for complying with the government and the pharmaceutical companies, of course. Now, I talked to many people about this vaccine in recent days, and I have to say that even people who support these lockdowns and all these restrictions 100%, they are very, very doubtful about the safety of this virus. A couple of physicists I know, and also an engineer, they are absolutely in favor of all these lockdowns. They are very afraid of this virus and they think that people should be locked up at home, etc. But they said that they don't trust this mRNA vaccination. They don't like the idea that this messenger RNA molecule is brought into our cells, and then our cells will be rewritten, recoded, so to speak, so that they present this spike protein on their outer cellular wall. That is something I have to say, this was made very obvious to me in recent days during all those conversations. This is making them very afraid. It is also interesting because they are people that are absolutely against genetically manipulated crops and food, for example. And obviously, they are also against messing with our own DNA. So people shouldn't be surprised about that. It almost seems like that the only people who are not afraid of this vaccine don't know a lot about it. But maybe this is something for another video. Take care, Servus, Kameraden.